Good evening, everyone. I'm Tom Lamog, a volunteer instructor with the Guitars for Vets Learning Center and with Challenge America Veteran Arts Community. Welcome to Songs Sung True, a Veteran's View. Tonight, we're broadcasting our 6th episode, so thanks again for setting aside some time and spending your evening with us. And before we begin our conversation with U.S. Army veteran and singer-songwriter Malachias Gaskin, I'd like to quickly share our motivation behind the show and how it supports the G4V mission. It's about helping veterans cope with PTSD through music. Through teamwork and camaraderie with Guitars for Vets, veterans join a community where they learn to play guitar and find solace in songs they love, as well as the songs they have yet to write. Many are finding hope behind the wood and strings of an acoustic guitar, which we call the healing power of music. And the veteran singer-songwriters we invite to our podcast to bring their personal stories and sing their original songs, these individuals are proof of this healing power. We are honored to have them share their musical journey with us. So thanks again for joining. Let's get started.
Think my tears are weak, but I don't give a damn. There are answers that I seek that make me who I am. Every day the sun comes up to find me driving on. The battle did not end for me because I made it home. There are times my feet are tired and I must find my knees, and I call for resupply. Father, help me please. There are 22 a day that choose not to survive, but I know inside of me something's still alive. In the garden where I lose myself, planting seeds of hope, a new life for myself. In the garden, watered with my tears, for all of those I lost, and all of those not here. In the garden, my warrior garden, my warrior garden. So you can find peace. It just takes some time. When you plant your thoughts of woe, it helps to clear your mind. Seeds of hope, a new life for myself. In the garden, watered with my tears, for all of those I lost, and all of those not here. In the garden, my warrior garden, my warrior garden.
Malachias Gaskin, A Warrior's Garden. Oh my goodness. Where are you, Malachias? Let me go ahead and bring you up on screen here. What a song. What a video.
Thank you.
My God. There's a lot to unpack there, but before we get you started, it's great to see you. It's been wonderful talking with you over the last few weeks, and you've had some really incredible stories to share, and I'm so looking forward to you sharing this with our community out there. But before we do, let's go ahead and get you properly introduced. Malachi spent 28 months in Iraq with the Third Infantry Division, 15 months as a combat medic, and also deployed using his secondary MOS as an infantryman. After a total of 17 years, Gaskin was medically retired for PTSD, mTBI, arthritis, bursitis, tinnitus, and hearing loss. And after 2 years of dedicated therapy and taking all medications prescribed to him, he determined there had to be a better way. Tired of feeling drugged all the time, he and his wife took matters into their own hands and started an organic garden in their backyard, which he went on to write about in his 2016 book, A Warrior's Garden, a therapeutic guide to living with post-traumatic stress disorder. Today, Gaskin helps others with healing and getting better based on the 3 pillars which have helped him: music, faith, and gardening. Malachias is also a Guitars for Vets graduate from our Nashville chapter, where he received his Taylor guitar in October 2023 at the 21 Guitar Salute ceremony. Now, I have to tell you, Malachias, first of all, the song, the video that we just watched, it's not just a title. There is so much more to unpack. There's so much more. I have had the opportunity to go online to look at some of the things that you've shared in the way of postings on social media, your website and such. And as it turns out, singer-songwriter is really just scratching the surface of who you are. Can you maybe tell us how we should be looking at you? I mean, singer-songwriter, combat veteran, yes, but there's more to this. What other things can you share?
So I'm a holistic practitioner of PTSD and traumatic brain injury recovery. I'm a father, a husband, an ordained minister, 17-year Army veteran. You know, I mentor. You know, I do a lot. Like, I mentor kids in my neighborhood, in my community that struggle with, like, that they don't have a father at home. They got in trouble with the courts, and because of our garden program that we use for veterans here, the courts have, hey, would you be willing to work with some of our kids? So I do that as well. There's really, I mean, so kind of the way my PTSD manifests, for like the way I self-treat, is like I have to stay really busy, which most of us are like that anyway. But
sounds like
I have to stay really, really busy.
Well, that sounds like it. Well, I'll tell you what, we're going to take the next hour and 15 minutes, and we're going to go ahead and talk through some of your life, whatever you're willing to share with us. But first, I want to go back to A Warrior's Garden, the video.
Okay.
And there's just, like I said, a lot that's happening there. First of all, there are different components to putting a video together like that. First of all, you need a song. And in order to do that, there's the songwriting process. Can you talk about, you know, from the very inception of the lyrics, what was it getting? What did you have to get together? What did you have to bring together to make that song come alive?
Well, it was crazy because, you know, I retired from the Army in 2014, and then in 2016, I reached out to a friend because I had kind of given up on music, and I reached out to a guy that I had met here in my local community. His name's JT Cooper. He was in 10th Mountain Division in Somalia during that whole Black Hawk Down, you know, all that stuff. And he was with the QRF team that went in to get the Rangers out. There's a documentary about his unit called the Lost Platoon. They actually got separated from the unit, and when he's a Purple Heart recipient. He's just phenomenal. He's just like, everything about the man is just, he's amazing.
Big in the songwriting community as well.
Yeah, and he's huge in the veteran and the non-veteran songwriting community. Like everybody, really, literally everyone knows who he is here. And so I reached out to him, and I was like, hey, dude, like I'm kind of getting the itch. I want to get back into singing and writing and doing all this stuff. And I said, but I don't know how to take this story and put it into a song. And he's that guy. He's like, okay, I'll see you on Saturday morning. So I went out to his office on Saturday morning. We sat down. You know, he goes, what do you want to do? And I was like, I want to take my book. I want to take the whole concept of the whole thing. I want to put it into a song. And he was like, well, tell me about it. What's the concept? And so I did. An hour later, he's like, all right, we're good. And like, literally, it just flowed. It just came together. Like, and there's times where songs just write themselves, and then there's times where songs take a lot of effort and a lot of work and trying to, you know, organize and put them where you want them and all that. This song just really was one of those ones where it came together. And then a couple weeks later, he called me and he was like, hey, look, we're going to go to the studio and record. Are you ready? And I was like, yeah, because he had sent me a little like phone recording, and I'd been kind of working on it. And so we went to the studio, we recorded it, and next thing you know, I was like, oh, I'm releasing a single. Let's do this.
Now, is this the first song you've written? Or
No, I've been making music off and on since like 92. The day I dropped out of high school, I called a buddy up and I was like, I want to start a band.
Wow.
And he was like, what? I'm like, yeah, let's do it. And he's like, this is 92. I'm 18 years old. He's like, what do you want to do? I'm like, let's do a punk band. And so we became a punk rock band.
So music has been with you for a while then.
Oh, yeah.
What was it like trying to pull together other musicians, not knowing that you had this vision?
So all throughout my music, like 30 years doing music, I've never been able to play an instrument, and I've always just been a vocalist. I wrote lyrics, I sing, it's been very frustrating throughout the years to find someone who wants to write the same thing I want to do, right? Find someone who's willing to play the music I want to play, write the music I want to do, just on the same missions, right? So it's been so I've always struggled with, I wanted to learn to play guitar. I wanted to learn, but I just, there was something blocking me or keeping me from doing it. All of a sudden, December of 2023, I basically looked myself in the mirror like, I'm going to learn to play guitar. I can't do this anymore. I'm tired of waiting on other people. And so I already had a couple guitars in the house. So I went and grabbed a guitar, sat down, got on YouTube and just tried to figure it out. A buddy of mine sent me a couple little 90-second, this is my concept on strumming type of videos that he wrote. And next thing you know, I took off. And so I think it was about 2 weeks in, I was playing one of my original songs and I was playing a cover song. And at that point I was just like, okay, so I submitted for the Guitars for Vets program in Nashville.
There it is. Yeah.
And the program here, it's great, but getting into it is kind of, there's a little bit of a struggle of getting into the program, of finding the right path, because everybody has a different, like, no, you got to do it this way. No, you got to do it this way. Like, once you get your stuff into the hands of the coordinator, it's seamless, right? But going through the VA to get there, it takes a little bit of like knowing the right person, the right organization, the right group that you have to talk to at the VA hospital to get it started.
There's there's a lot of truth to that, and I'm certain that our community can relate to much of what you're saying with the path that you've taken. But let me ask you, let's go back to your youth a little bit. This, a punk band. What?
Yeah. Captain Ahab's Fondulax.
What? How would your friends describe you? I mean, at this point in time, it's like, I want to pull together a band. But what are some of the thoughts that you remember of friends describing you? Were you outgoing? Were you pretty much driven? Were you kind of like reserved? What was it?
Up until 2008, when I came home from Iraq the first time, like I was always kind of told, I was always called like the social butterfly. Okay. I would talk to the wall. Like, my nickname as a kid from my parents was Motor Mouth, because I wouldn't shut up. And I just talked to everyone about anything all the time. Like, I was just a social guy. Like, everywhere I went, I'd made friends. I didn't know a stranger. You know what I mean? I came home from Iraq the first time after combat, and it's like, I don't want to do that anymore. So it takes a lot of effort for me, like in public, to kind of talk to people and kind of open up to people. I force myself to do it because I don't want to be that guy that's like, I don't want to be closed off. I want to get back into that. And it gets easier the more you do it, but it's like, it just took a lot to really get back into it. But yeah, as a kid growing up, like everybody, I talked to anyone. I didn't care.
Are you thinking that, when you had gone in to the idea of doing a band, were you thinking that I'd like people who are just like me, or were you looking for diversity? I mean, there are some musicians who basically say, no, I kind of like the imbalance of someone who's like totally not like me. And how did you approach that?
Well, I think it depends on which way you're looking at it. So musically, I want people that we're all on the same page of what we want to do musically. Like, we can all come from different musical backgrounds, right? But like musically, I want us to all have the same focus and the same mission. When it comes to like our personal backgrounds, that part doesn't bother me. If we're different, we're different. If we're the same, I don't care. Like, because it's about the music at that point. To me. I think that diversity, like if you have a diverse musical group, like if I have a female drummer or, something different or whatever in whatever position, I mean, can it add to it and enhance it? Heck yeah, it can. You know what I mean? But I think it really depends again on what is your mission, what is your purpose, what is your intent, and what do you want to do with that music? And do you all have the same? Like, if we're all completely diverse and we all have the exact same intent for the music, let's do it. if we're all exactly the same and we all have the same intent for the music, again, let's do it. You know,
Well, good.
if I want to go in and be a Southern rock artist and you come in and you want to be a hip hop artist, we're probably, if we can't make a way to put it together, like we're not going to do it.
Any of those experiences in putting that band together stay with you today?
Yeah, I mean, you know, you got to work with people. You have to learn people's different personalities. You have to understand that some people don't receive things the same way. Like you and I can be told the same thing from one person at the exact same time in the exact same room with the exact same tone of voice happening and receive it completely separate, like, and have a completely different understanding of what was said. So yeah, you learn a lot about like how to communicate, how other people receive communication and things like that. So
Okay, so let me ask you this now. After putting the band together, and did you get to get out there and play? I mean, were you able to?
we did.
How was that like for?
So much fun as a kid, you know, playing in other people's garages other than ours, playing, you know, local clubs and things like that. Like it was awesome. I really, it became an infectious thing. Like I wanted more of it. I wanted to play it more often. We did, you know, we did showcases, we did competitions, we did, you know, local band stuff, like just all over, and just I loved it, every minute of it. And then that band, I got married, and that band, kind of, my wife was like, my first wife at the time was just like, yeah, I don't like you being out there doing this, so I kind of quit. And then, you know, later on throughout the years, I would, you know, dabble back into it. Yeah.
Funny how music does that. Now, you said that you really didn't pick up guitar until 25 years later? Is
30
30 years
later. Like I tried so many times. I took lessons, I paid for lessons, I had buddies try to teach me stuff, like, and I knew like an A minor chord, a G chord, a C chord, a D chord. Like I knew the chords. I couldn't do anything with any of them. It just didn't, none of it made sense to me. I couldn't, when I would strum it, I couldn't find sounds that sounded good together, you know what I mean? Like it was horrible. And again, I kept saying to myself, like I was speaking the negative to myself, is like, I can't do this. I just can't do it. It's just not going to happen. I'm not meant to play guitar. I'm just going to have to hire a guitar player. And, you know, when I came to Nashville, when I retired from the Army and I came here, like there's, you know, musicians aplenty, you know, and eventually I ended up just hiring a guy to write my album with me. So, but I got to a point where it's like, again, I'm tired of waiting for someone else to do something. And I just got to, I guess I just got to a point where I didn't want to not be able to do it anymore, more than I thought I couldn't.
So to be clear, you were the singer.
Yeah.
You didn't play guitar, obviously. You were singing, and you were doing lyric writing and songwriting. So you're standing up there kind of a la lead singer, you know?
Yeah, being the front man, jumping around,
the
acting
front
crazy.
man. That was your introduction to music, being the front man of a punk band. Is that right?
Yeah, and I've done punk, I've done country, I've done hard rock, I've done blues, like, I mean, all of it.
I have to tell you, I was taking a look at some of the music that you have written. I'm curious what some of your influences, you know, maybe you can tell me vocalist, I should say. Is there a particular person that you look up to as a vocalist?
Buddy Holly, Elvis Presley.
Oh, no.
Fats Domino, like phenomenal vocalists. Fats Domino, I think, is one of the most underrated vocalists of his generation. Like he was a piano player and he was a showman, but that dude could sing.
Is that who you tried to emulate when you were out there trying to when you were performing?
No, so I am completely weird, and I don't know. Like I've always just wanted to be me. I would practice other vocalists and try to sound like them when I was singing their stuff, but when it came to like my music, I always did the best I could to just be me. And I get a lot of comparisons these days to, like, you know, Laze Staley, Scott Stapp, Sully from Godsmack. Like I get a lot of that stuff. But I've never really tried to emulate anybody else. I've always tried to be just organic in myself when it came to vocals. Now again, rehearsing wise, like I would try to mimic people and find technique within that. You know, like listen to the way that Prince sang, and how did he go from this register to that? Because that dude would go an 8-octave jump or a 6-octave jump, and it's insane from note to note, and it was just crazy. Wow. So like doing that and finding like trying to find that hidden techniques that they're using, and then working with vocal coaches where they would work with you on. But again, I just always was trying to be myself with it.
So how was the connection made from your adolescence and then into the military? What was the inspiration that pointed you towards enlisting?
So it's so weird that there was two things in my life I always knew I wanted to do. I wanted to be a soldier, and I wanted to make music. After I retired from the Army and I came home and I got to Tennessee, my mom came down to stay with us. And when she came down, she brought a big box of stuff from my childhood, and I started going through it. And there's just tons of photos or pictures that I had drawn with crayons or whatever in kindergarten and in preschool, where it was literally just like, I want to be a soldier, da 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 da. And it was just me and me drawing little people in camouflage or whatever. So I kind of always just knew. My dad served. My grandfather was a retired command sergeant major. His father was a retired major. Every male, from the way it was explained to me by my grandfather, every male in our family line, our direct family line, all served in the military. Whether it was Army or Marine Corps, we all served. And I didn't want to not be that guy. You know what I mean? So,
were you kind of encouraged? Did your family encourage you to join?
No, my dad really never talked about his service. He didn't have the most illustrious career. He made quite a few mistakes and did not get out a very happy way. And so he really talked very little about his military career. So when I decided to do it, he walked me to the recruiters' offices, and he would go in with me and listen to everything. But he just really never discussed it. And so when I did it, he was like, "Are you serious?" And I was like, "Yeah." So because when I first joined, I joined the National Guard. And I served for 9 years, and then I got out. I took a 3-year break and tried to be a rock star. I tried to just go on tour and do things. And then I ended up back on active duty in 2006. So, but I was never really, it was never discouraged, but it was never really encouraged either.
In our original conversation from a few weeks back, you were talking about the journey that you had to take just to enlist. Coming out of the educational system, and can you share a little bit of how that journey went? Because it wasn't an easy one.
Yeah, I dropped out of high school, and I went straight to work for my dad owned a landscape company and a Mexican restaurant and a cleaning service. And I literally dropped out of high school, and I went to a payphone at a Hardee's restaurant across the road, and I was like, "Hey, I'm gonna drop out." It was the last day of school my junior year. We were about to take finals, and he's like, "Well, what are you gonna do?" I was like, "I'm just gonna go to work." He's like, "All right." So I did. And then a year later, a buddy of mine started talking to me about the military, and I was like, "You know what? I'm going to do it." And I went to go see Marine Corps recruiter. Well, I went to the active duty Army recruiter first, and he laughed at me. And then I went to, the Air Force recruiter, and they laughed at me. And then, because they're like, no GED, no nothing. Nope. And all the way down the line, I get to the Marine Corps. My uncle was a Marine Corps veteran who was he was very instrumental in my life. Very influential to me. And he was a Vietnam veteran, retired first sergeant. He's like one of the greatest men I've ever known. But anyway, I go to the Marine Corps recruiter, and he's like, "Honestly, dude, go see the National Guard. If you don't have a GED and you have nothing, just go to the National Guard. That's where you want to start." He goes, "You're gonna have a really hard time getting in without it." All right, cool. And so I went to the National Guard recruiter, and he's like, "Do you got your GED yet?" And I was like, "Nope." He's like, "If I pay for it, will you enlist?" I was like, "That's why I'm here. But if you're willing to pay for it, yes." So we jumped in his car, drove to the thing, signed up for it. He paid the fee, went back to his office. 2 weeks later, I went and took the test. About a month later, I got my results, and then I brought them to him and said, "There you go. Let's get this done." And so I enlisted. Yeah. I enlisted as a back then it was a 91 Bravo combat medic.
Man, oh man.
Yeah.
Well, it's time for a song. I think Legacy is that's on deck here, and maybe just a brief overview of what the song is, and then fill us in on any details that you want to share about this song.
So Legacy was the lead-off track on my album. The album is called For Those That Remain, and the song is based on that journey of any young man or young woman that has a desire to join because of family tradition, right? Because we just knew that, our parents served, their parents served, somebody in our family served that we really looked up to, and we wanted to fulfill that. We wanted to be a part of that. So for me, I really just had this, I want to have my footprint inside that legacy, right? I want to be a part of it. I don't want to not be the one. I don't want to be the one that causes the break in the chain. So.
All right. Malachias Gaskin, everyone.
playground, playing army guys with all of his friends. It's all the time on his mind. Already knows what he wants to be, wants to grow up and serve his country. It's all the time on his mind. When will it be his time? His turn to hold the line. This is buried in his bones. He can't see it in his future. He knew it so long ago. Fate meets destiny, leaving footprints on his journey. This is his legacy. Running around all the roadblocks, jumping through all their hoops. It's almost time, still on his mind. Summertime and he's turned 18. Recruiters coming over to meet his family. It's almost time, still on his mind. When will it be his time? His turn to hold the line. This is buried in his bones. He can't see it in his future. He knew it so long ago. Fate meets destiny, leaving footprints on his journey. This is his legacy. This fate meets destiny, leaving footprints on his journey. This is his legacy. This is buried in his bones. He can't see it in his future. He knew it so long ago. Fate meets destiny, leaving footprints on his journey. This is his legacy.
Great tune, Legacy. And let me kind of take you back
Sure.
to those days. How did you imagine military life before you joined? And was it anything like what you thought?
So the first stint was a little different because like it's National Guard, right? So I'm home every night. I'm like, I'm only going to drill on the weekends. After basic training, after basic training in AIT, it was really about going to work and showing up to drill, right, and doing what I was supposed to do. But I put a little effort into it. I really enjoyed it. Like after I got back from basic and AIT, I already was missing the day-to-day, regimen, right? So anytime I was a landscaper, so anytime there was a rain day, I was at the armory. I was like, hey, what's available? What can I do? How can I do this? What can I do there? To a point where I ended up a year and a half later, I reclassed from medic to infantry. I went back to Fort Benning, went to AIT again, became an infantryman, came home, became a fire team leader. A couple months later, I was made a squad leader as a corporal. And at that point, I was off to the races because I would show up like, hey, do you want to go to Mountain Warfare School? Hey, do you want to go to Air Assault? Hey, do you want to go do this? Do you want to go to SAROC? Do you want to go to SGLIC? Do you want to go to STITC, TITC? Like all these schools. Like, what do you want to go to? I was like, I want to go to Ranger School. So I went to pre-ranger at Benning, which is a requirement for National Guard and reservists. You have to go through this 3-week pre-ranger, like indoctrination into the course before you can go on to Ranger School. Graduated pre-ranger, but couldn't secure a slot into Ranger School. And as you know, as a private business owner and as all that, husband and all that, like it was just there was no way I was coming back. But I did. I went to anything they would offer me. I took it PLDC. I went to BNOC. I went to ANOC. And I was going early. Like when I made E5, they sent me a week later. They were like, "Hey, we have a slot for BNOC for you." And so for the Army, it's like the school you need to make staff sergeant. And so, but it was just like I was almost like it was like I was meant for it.
Yeah. It, just like in your youth and adolescence, you kept busy, you kept moving. Hey, there's something that in your bio, it said that you were part of a band. You were actually a vocalist, and I think if I got the acronym right, was it an on the job OTJ, or am I? Is it? Is that
when I went active duty?
Okay.
Yep, I was OJT.
All right, tell us about that.
When I was on active duty, I got to Iraq as a medic, and we were at Fob Kalsu, and we're walking through the Fob, and I got to the DFAC to go eat, and walked inside and saw this big flyer for the 3rd Infantry Division rock band was coming, and I'm like, wait, what? We have a freaking rock band in the Army? I had no clue, right? So at that point, I went to my I went to my command team, and I'm just like, hey, I want to audition for the band. I want to be in the rock band. And they looked at me, and I was like, look. When I was out of the Army for those 3 years, like that's all I did. Like I was trying to be a rock star. I was playing everywhere I could play. I had a band, the whole deal. And they're like, oh snap, okay. And so they figured out they could get me an audition. And they're like, we'll get you an audition. I'll re-enlist if you get me the audition, but the agreement in my re-enlistment is that you have to let me go if I make it. And so that was in my re-enlistment contract. So I re-enlisted, and it took me almost most of the deployment to finally get up to Baghdad to actually do the audition at the Army band for the 3rd Infantry Division. And when I got there, it was so funny. I did Kryptonite by Three Doors Down, and then I did Hard to Handle by the Black Crowes. I got halfway through literally first verse, first chorus, second verse, and the band stopped playing. And I mean the guitar, the bass, the drums, everyone stopped. I'm like, oh snap, okay. And I went, grabbed my rifle, grabbed my hat, getting ready to walk out. And he's like, what are you doing? I'm like, y'all just quit playing. I figured I suck, you know? And he's like, no, dude, we've heard enough. You're in.
Yeah.
Like, oh.
How often do you get to hear that? Jeez.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I got my little acceptance letter and went and turned it in. And then, we came home from Iraq, and I ended up transferring over to the Army band at Port Stewart.
So how do you balance that? How do you balance your duties with the band?
That became my job. I became a full-time military musician. Wow. I was an OJT guy, so they gave me jobs within the unit. I was the retention NCO. I was the equal opportunity NCO. I was the government purchase card holder. Again, stayed busy, right? And if I wasn't I didn't play an instrument, so I was a vocalist, so I had a lot to do, like outside of the band parts of things. So but if I wasn't doing all those things, I would go in a vocal booth, lock the door, and just sing. Just sing, just all the time. Like, these are the songs that are set list, so I would have my headphones in, and I'd just be practicing those songs. Anything?
Did you play for other veterans or active duty?
We did. We played for other troops. We played for local groups. We would go to the VA hospital and perform. I ended up deploying to Iraq a second time for 13 months as a vocalist with the Army band, and we toured all of northern Iraq, making hard rock and country and R&B.
Wow. Well, fantastic. Do you have any? What were your favorite songs to sing? Can you?
When I was with the Army band, probably "Hemorrhage" by Fuel, "Knocking on Heaven's Door," just because I love the simplicity of that song. It's so simple but so beautiful. And then I would say probably. We would do "Fight for Your Right to Party" by the Beastie Boys, and it was me and my bass player did the vocals on it. And it was because he was like 6'2", like 225. I'm 5'7". At the time I was 150, and we would run across the stage, jump up and chest bump in the song, and I would always get knocked over because of how solid he was.
Right.
But we did it every show. It was hilarious. It was really, really great.
Wow.
Those are probably my favorites, though.
Well, wonderful. I know you've got some other songs to do. And the rest of this hour, I just want to go back to our community this evening, and if you do have questions that you would like to ask Malachias, please put it in the chat, and we will get to it at the end of the program. Or, unless Paul, is there anything that you can see right now that's coming up as we got to ask now?
I think he's got to say the name of his punk band again. I'm not sure everyone heard that.
So, if anybody is familiar with the city in Wisconsin called Fond du Lac, Wisconsin, we named our band Captain Ahab's Fond du Lacs. We're a bunch of 18-year-old kids, though. It was awesome.
And the board just lit up. Okay.
And Steve Vaughn is creating a little bit of controversy over which branch of service has the best musical bands, but he's voting for Navy.
Well, the
Mel,
Steve
Navy's
is
the only
being
one.
Steve.
The Navy's the
I
only
did-
one that I could care less about. No, I'm kidding.
I did put your YouTube channel link and a link to your book in the chat. So if people want to see the book or get to your YouTube channel, that's available. And we have a few questions that'll wait, Tom.
Okay, real good. Thanks, Paul. So, Malachias, let me ask you this.
Yes.
You know, when you were working with these musicians in the band and you were doing all the things that you were, I'm thinking you were dreaming of doing, did you manage to keep in touch with these musicians? Are they still friends, or are they still around? Or they?
Player that I worked with for Captain Ahab is now, he became a drummer, and then he became a mandolin player, and he plays everything. Him and I are still very close. We talk regularly. And then I was in a band called Severance. That was a heavy metal hard rock kind of alternative band. And that's the one that, like, we came really, really close to. We almost got signed by a record label, by Capitol Records. The drummer and I are still very, very close. His name is Al. He's like probably one of the most, he can play guitar, bass, drums, piano, like he does it all. But he was like,
awesome.
he's a sick drummer. Like, and on the album, for those that remain, if you go to the song Falling Down, that was a song that I originally did with, nothing's wrong with the Navy, everything, nothing. But he was, so that song we wrote with, I wrote with my band Severance, and he was the drummer on that. Like, his cymbal work is just like some of the greatest ever. And then some of the Army musicians that I worked with, like my one of my fellow vocalists, Jason McElveen, like that dude, like I don't know how he didn't make it as a professional musician. Like, he's amazing. He's a drummer and he's a singer, and he can play any style. Like, it doesn't matter. One of my guitar players that I worked with, he was actually a Army euphonium player, but he ended up he also plays guitar. Him and I have actually written some songs together. Some of the songs that he and I wrote, the lyrics are in the book, A Warrior's Garden.
Awesome. Now, have you recorded anything that's out there of you and your your bandmates? To me, it's kind of like, it's just like you have everything else that's going on.
I think
you've got gigs, you've got band members, you've got people who are appreciating what you do. Did you record any of that stuff?
So there's a video of me in Iraq performing at a Christmas concert where I did I Won't Be Home from Christmas by Blink-182. And a Christmas song, and I can't remember the name of it for the life of me, but it's a Bruce Springsteen Christmas song. And
it's not Santa Claus is Coming to Town, right?
Yes.
Oh, it is? Okay.
Okay.
That's what I remember of him.
But it's on
Cool.
DVids and it's on YouTube. I believe it's on my Facebook. Which one is? And then we did some music videos there's a Lone Star song that we covered, and then there was a Bon Jovi song that we covered, and then.
Nice.
Every musician has that one song that you're like, I can't believe I ever did this. And we did the song 500 Miles by, that was in the movie Benny and June. So
cool. Wow. So you were hitting them all. All the great tunes here.
So, but two of the songs that are on my Spotify, one is called Grind and one is called Freedom. I wrote with my Army buddies, and we released them.
Nice.
We released them this last year.
Awesome. Well, hey, it's time for another song. And Wallet Size is what's on deck here. And can you share with us a little bit about how that song was crafted and the meaning.
I stole it.
if you can?
100% stole this song
Good to
from
know.
my wife. So she wrote these lyrics back in the early 90s before we got together, early to mid 90s. And when we got married in 2002, I was sitting at home on a rain day because I was a landscaper, and I was just kind of like going through this box of poems and artwork and just like a shoebox or whatever it was. And I found these lyrics the first line was, when I see that picture without a frame. And I started reading it, and I got addicted. And Six Pack's like shaking his head. He loves this song. And so I kind of was like, I took it and I was like, hey, can I have these lyrics? And she was like, no. Why? What do you want? And
so it begins.
yeah, right. It's like any wife, you know. I mean, no, you can't have this. What do you want them for? Why?
It's a prize.
And so I was like, well, I want to try to put it in. I want to create a song. And so I got a hold of my buddy Jeff. Jeff is, if you haven't heard of the band called American Bombshell, like it's a heavy metal rockabilly. It's amazing. Like, and he's the vocalist for them. But I got a hold of him and I was like, hey, dude, I can't play guitar. I need some help. And he was just like, oh, dude, hold on, come on over. So, and I've known Jeff since third grade. Like, we've been friends forever.
That's awesome.
We still talk all the time. And so I go over to his house. We literally rehearsed twice, and then we went to the studio and recorded it. And it's a 90s alternative hard rock and kind of ballady.
In your wheelhouse.
Yeah, it's right in my wheelhouse. And then I a couple years ago when I did the album in 2022, we redid the song with my buddy Rory, who I was in the Army band with. He was an Army guitar player, and he is probably one of the top 2-3 guitarists I've ever worked with in my entire life. But nice. He restructured it. Let me back up. I sat down with Paul Coleman, who's a former member of the Christian band called the Newsboys, and he restructured the song for me, like the tempo and the melody. And then I took it to Rory, and Rory re-recorded the guitar parts, and we sent it over to my producer and redid the song, and it's completely different. I have 2 versions of the song on my Spotify. One is the 2002 throwback, which is that darker, deeper, lower tone, slower, and this is the version that we settled on for the guitar or for the album. But in true 90s alternative fashion, the name Wallet Size is nowhere in the song. So,
all right. Well, Malachias Gaskin, everyone.
All right.
When I see that picture without a frame, I see what was there still remains. Scars in the wounds and the words that burn. Lovers love, then she turned. See that picture without a frame, I see the harbor, bitter pain. The eyes that once were so sincere to me turn into a glare that went right through me. I don't wanna hear me cry. I couldn't stand to see you die. Oh, my picture without a frame. Every time I look, it takes me to those days. What made you stray? My picture without a frame. Why'd you make it rain? When I see that picture without a frame, I see the heart that will never be the same. The eyes that once were so sincere to me turn into a glare that went right through me. I don't wanna hear me cry. Couldn't stand to see you die. Oh, my picture without a frame. Every time I look, it takes me to those days. What made you stray? My picture without a frame. Why'd you make it rain? When I see that picture without a frame, ghost of you reveals your name. Words you whispered just weren't true, and I guess you'll never know who's who. I don't wanna hear me cry. I couldn't stand to see you die. Oh, my picture without a frame. Every time I look, it takes me to those days that made you stray. My picture without a frame. Why'd you make it rain? I can still feel the rain.
All right, Malachias Gaskin, everyone. And I've got to ask you this, when it comes to the transition from military life into the life of a civilian among civilians, a veteran among civilians. I want to say that right.
A veteran in the civilian community.
In the community.
There you go.
Was there anything in particular that was effortless? And by the flip side of that coin, is there anything that you can think of that was especially challenging?
Learning how to talk to non-veterans all over again, because it's a completely different way that we discuss things, to say things. And one of my favorite stories I like to actually share, because of being the hard thing, was I got hired right out of the Army into this job where I was running this guy's company, and he was doing millions of dollars a year in revenue, working with banks, just doing like credit card processing and then doing identity theft monitoring. And so I went into this, and he hired me to run the whole thing. I was his office manager, in charge of every department, the whole deal. And so after I got in, I got trained, I got all the stuff he wanted for me. Like, we started doing our weekly meetings, and we sat down, and he goes, hey, so we're going to do this new ad campaign, and it's going to be like ABC, all the things. And I'm like, okay. I'm like, nah, it's kind of stupid. We're not going to do that. I think we should do this. You know what I mean? And I said, there's no like malice. It's like, it's stupid. I don't want to do that. Let's do this. And he was like, actually, that's a good idea. I don't remember what the idea was anymore, but he was just like, that's actually a good idea. Let's do that. Go ahead and set that up. Send me an email, and then let's go ahead and get it going. I'm like, not a problem. Got this. I got you. And the meeting ends, and he goes, hey, can you stay back for a minute? I want to talk to you. I'm like, yeah, sure. So we get done, and all the department heads leave, and we close the door, and he goes, dude, you cannot call me stupid in front of everybody. I'm like, I didn't call you stupid. He goes, you said that's stupid. I'm like, it's not good. Like, that's not a good idea. Like, you're not stupid. You own a company making millions of dollars. You're brilliant. This is not a good idea. It's a waste of time and money. And he looks at me, because, in the military, I can be like, that's dumb. You're stupid, or that's stupid, right? No one takes offense to it. They're like, okay, why is it stupid? Because to us, we're just short, we're blunt, we're quick, right? Yeah. And he was like, okay, I got to teach you how to talk to people, because if you talk to our customers like that, you're going to lose business for us. And so he taught me how to communicate, and that was probably the hardest thing for me to learn, was how to communicate, because it's a completely different mindset when you're talking to people.
Corporate speak, as we say.
Yeah, well, I mean, everybody in the military, well, in my experience, everybody I worked with in the military was very thick-skinned. Like, we did not take anything personal. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Because our jobs, if you don't do your job, someone dies, right? So it's like, if I'm getting corrected, it's so I don't cost lives. So that was the hard thing. Probably the easiest thing was because every job that I've had since I got out, like I've exceeded out. I've been promoted. I've moved up quickly, faster than my peers, faster than people that have been there for long periods of time. And so it was like that was easy just because of my work ethic, because of the military. Get up, go to work, do your job, don't complain, go home. That was probably the easiest thing for me.
And I have to let you know that in looking at some of the posts that you have done, you're not leaving anyone behind. You're not leaving your brothers and sisters behind. You help them position themselves to become successful, in adapting to this world of civilians, being veterans and all. Staying close with them. I came across your a video with the Spartan Pledge, and I have to tell you, I was really moved by that video. Can you share a little bit about that?
Who knows what the Spartan Pledge is? Anybody? Six pack. I know you do. Yeah. Okay. So the Spartan Pledge is a suicide prevention modality that was created by veterans for veterans. It was written and created by one of my best friends. His name's Boone Cutler. He was a PSYOP NCO in Iraq. He's just an amazing guy. Very, very, very intelligent. He wrote the manifesto of Sadr City, which was it was basically the plan to defeat Muqtada al-Sadr in Iraq. And he's just brilliant. So anyway, he came home and, with PTSD and traumatic brain injury and the struggling, taking the medications and just constantly thinking about, wanting to end his life and all of that. And we had trying to find a way out of that, right? Not to think like that, to break the cycle. And so he sat down and wrote the Spartan Pledge. It's 2 sentences. The first one is, I will not take my own life by my own hand until I talk to my battle buddy first. The second one, my mission is to find a mission and support my warfighter family. So what it is it's we as veterans, as warfighters, right? We are making a promise to each other that I will not end my life. I will reach out to you for help, right? I will give you the opportunity to talk me off the ledge before I make any drastic decisions, right? Because sometimes that's all it takes. It's just, so I can't tell you, I've got a couple friends of mine that I didn't know this until years later, where they were like, I was done. I had decided to take my life, and I picked up the phone and I called you and you answered. And it's all it took. And sometimes that's what it is, right? But because of our lives, because of our families, because of the things that we understand, that life just gets crazy, right? Like, I can tell you right now, I go to bed, my phone goes on silent and do not disturb. So if I'm sleeping, I'm sleeping. You're not going to wake me up. It's just not going to happen. I'm going to get my sleep, right? Leave me a voicemail. Hey man, Spartan Pledge, call me back. Right? And then the second sentence, right? My mission is to find a mission and support my warfighter family. So get up off your duff while you're waiting for that call back, while you're waiting for that response, right? Get up off your duff, go find someone that needs help and help them. How can I bless you today? How can I help you today? Because a lot of times what happens is it's just that separation from connection, that separation from service, that as a veteran, that's what we're missing, right? That part of our identity of being a servant. Because as a soldier, as a Marine, as a Navy, as an airman, you know, as all the, we're servants. We're serving our nation. We're serving our military, right? And when we leave the military, we don't have that position where we serve anymore. We're not doing something. We're not a part of something bigger than ourselves anymore, right? We're not a piece of that. And so if you can find a way to get back that feeling, those thoughts start to lower and decrease and go away. And it may not be permanent, but it does, you know. And so I'm the Tennessee state coordinator for the Spartan Pledge. So my job is to set up events around here. Every time I play a show, no matter where I'm at, I've done them in Illinois, I've done them in Kentucky, I've done them in Tennessee. I'm going to do one. I've done one in Indiana. I'm going to do another one in Indiana this year. Anytime I go and my band plays, we stop in the middle of our set and I do a Spartan Pledge. I offer it to any veteran, any first responder in the audience. And that feeling, like when you do it with a group of men and women where they're all there together and everybody's holding hands on shoulders or something, right? Like the energy that comes off of that is unbelievable. And then that new lease on life, that new focus, that new energy just takes over, you know? And because a lot of them come there and they're there by themselves. They don't have anybody. And then you take the Spartan Pledge and it's like, and I tell them, swap numbers. Everybody in this group needs to change phone numbers right now. If you don't have someone's number, get it. If you don't have someone's, get mine before I leave. And I've given my number to, you know, hundreds of people easily. But it's really about like stopping veterans from taking their lives. We have too much to offer our families. We have too much to offer our communities, regardless of how broken we may feel or may be, right? Regardless of our PTSD, our traumatic brain injury, our bodies being broken and like not being able to run and jump the way we used to or whatever, we still have a lot to offer our families and our communities, and we need to be doing that. It's not going to get better without us. It's going to get worse without us.
Thank you for that.
Thank you.
There are two other things that I want to run by you before we end the evening. One is A Warrior's Garden, the book, and the experience that led up to that book. Okay. Now I want to ask you about your experience with guitar, because, you know, you were saying earlier that, you know, I waited 30 years to learn to play guitar, and it wasn't until I picked it up, did a few things, even got into Guitars for Vets. Would you share that experience with our community? Because, again, many of them are still in the process of learning to play. Yeah. They're waiting for their lessons and their experience with, you know, the upcoming instructor that they're going to be assigned, hopefully, or maybe they're going through some of our learning modules like the Intro to Acoustic Guitar ITAG. But maybe you can talk a little bit about, you know, what it was like when you finally signed up and Guitars for Vets took you on your journey.
So yeah, from when I signed up, I was like, I finally got approved. I went through the VA program and I called my provider and I was like, hey, well, let me back up just a little bit. I actually got in contact with a good friend of mine who is a graduate of the program, and that's really what kind of inspired me to do the program, Scotty Hastings. And I started kind of just texting with Scotty, and I was like, hey, dude, you did that program, right? And he was like, yeah. I'm like, is it worth it? Like, did it help? He's like, oh, dude, it made my playing better, and, you know, this, that, and we got going on about it. And I'm like, how do I do it? You did the one in Nashville, right? And he's like, yeah. I'm like, how do I sign up for it? He's like, get a hold of recreational therapy, and they will set you up. And so I did. I got a hold of my doctor. I got asked for a referral to recreational therapy. Recreational therapy goes, oh, no, you have to do it through music therapy. And I'm like, what the heck? And so they get me a hold of music. But this is like 3 months later. I finally get hey, you have to do this through music therapy. We're going to go ahead and transfer the referral over for you. Because normally they won't. You'll have to go back to your doctor and do it again because it's the VA and it's very bureaucratic, right? And so I was like, okay, cool, no problem. And so I got a call from the guy that does it. He's in Murfreesboro. I'm in Columbia, so I'm an hour away. And I was like, hey, I really can't. I don't want. I'm a veteran service officer at the time. I don't want to drive an hour because I'm taking away from my veterans. He's like, well, we can do it over the phone. So we did a Zoom call, and we talked for an hour. I just explained how much music means to me and how much I love to play and sing and all that. And so he was like, yeah, I think it's a no-brainer. I'm going to go ahead and get you a referral for the program. So as soon as he finalized my referral 2 months later, I got a call right away from Patrick McGuire, who's the Nashville coordinator, and Patrick is just one of the greatest dudes I've ever met. I say that a lot, but it's like I've met a lot of really great dudes lately. And Patrick gave me a call. We talked. He's like, all right, I'm going to send you out an email with the dates and times for the very first meeting, all of that stuff. And so I showed up, and I got assigned to Dave McKenzie, which if you don't know who Dave McKenzie is as a guitar player and as a musician and as a performer, like, you are missing out. This dude has done it all. He has played with them all. He has toured with them all. Like, he is unfreaking believable. And I honestly, like, the lessons he gave me, it was like I was being force fed with a fire hose. Like, it was just so much information coming at me at one time that he was just like, pick up what you can, keep going with it, whatever. Dave and I still text, we still talk. Like, I love him so much. He is, and his wife's still a professional musician. She still tours, from what I understand. But like, he is just like, I mentioned that, like, my all-time favorite band of all time is Heart. And when I mentioned that in one of our lessons, he was just like, I opened for them on some of their first shows ever. I'm like, shut up, dude. Like, he's done it all. Like, I absolutely adore him. Like, he's phenomenal. But, he taught me some better fingering techniques, and he taught me some better strumming techniques. He taught me how to palm mute, which I didn't know anything about. And he exposed me to a lot of theory that I wasn't familiar with. And I got assigned to Dave because when I came in, I was already able to play 4 or 5 songs on my own. I was already doing like open mic nights by myself with some of my originals. And so Patrick gave me to Dave to kind of get me more of that advanced kind of thing up front. Mm-hmm. And Dave was just like, well, show me what you can already do. And I played a couple of songs, and then he's like, okay. And so he helped. I mean, he refined a lot of what I'm doing. Like, it still needs a lot of work because I don't consider myself a guitar player. I'm a vocalist who is playing guitar to facilitate a need. Mm-hmm. But Dave it was unbelievable. And then the program was phenomenal. Like, when I got done, like, we were all gifted Epiphones for graduation. And I had everybody in my class, all the instructors, all the students, everybody signed my Epiphone. So that one's up in my bedroom.
Sweet.
And it's got everybody's autograph. My whole family signed it, like everybody. And I'm not afraid to share my journey on Facebook at all. I use Facebook kind of like a diary sometimes, but it's like, it's really just meant to inspire other people to kind of try to do the same things I'm doing, which is get off their duff.
And I caught a video that you promoted Guitars for Vets in a very positive way. And I thought, after talking with Donald with Sixpack, it was kind of like, I got to get in front of Malachias because he's, gone through the program and has some great things to say about it. Thanks for sharing that. Can you maybe tell us what was maybe your biggest achievement going through the program for graduating with Guitars for Vets?
I would say honestly, to me, it was the friendships that I made with Dave McKenzie, with Pat McGuire, Chuck Thompson,
great people.
All the instructors. Like, they reached out to me afterwards and was like, "Hey, we're doing this 21 guitar salute thing at Copperline Ranch, which is Kenny Rogers. It's his ranch." Yeah. And they're like, "We want you to be one of the artists to perform and be a part of the ceremony." So I got to go out there and actually perform some of my originals and play a couple covers with the whole group of us.
Oh yeah. Hey, I was there. I was there for that.
Yeah, we did not meet each other. It was crazy.
Paul and I were there. I don't think either of us met you there, but we did catch you on stage. You were playing "Knocking on Heaven's Door" with everyone else, right?
I was, which is like one of my all-time favorite things.
So listen, I'm going to bring Paul on here in just a moment, but before we do, and you can kind of take a deep breath here, let me just tell everyone about Guitars for Vets. We are a 501c3 nonprofit organization. Our cyber chapter allows veterans to enroll in the G4V program free of charge and complete private lessons online. These lessons are individualized and designed to help veterans learn guitar at their own pace. Upon completing our 11-lesson program, veterans receive a new acoustic guitar and the accessories needed to continue playing. Registration for Guitars for Vets Cyber Chapter opens on the first day of every month and remains open until full capacity has been reached. For more details and to also support our mission through donations, you can go to our website, www.guitarsforvets.org, and help us put music in the hands of our heroes. Hello, Paul. It's good to see you.
Tom, you do that like such a natural.
I know. It's amazing, what being paid in Oreo cookies can do. To me, it's like I'm ready.
Sponsored by bacon.
Exactly. So you got questions for Malachias, I hope, or if not, then I know you've got your questions. So why don't you have at it, Paul?
I've just unmuted everyone, so if you want, you can unmute and ask a question. Malachias, I want to say there's like two things I really took from your story. So thanks again for spending this time with us. When you talked about one of the hardest things coming back was communication with civilians, I really kind of was drawn to that because in my other career, I worked in the addictions, mental health treatment field. I was a social worker by training, and I did training with law enforcement. And that's that's also a culture where they're experienced a trauma. It's obviously different than war trauma. They call it death by 1,000 paper cuts because it's many, many years of trauma that they might see versus kind of concentrated trauma. But I used to do resiliency training with them, and just how they communicated, it was really interesting. They're very black and white, and part of that is their training. I mean, that's what helps them stay alive and follow orders. But here we are as trained social workers where we're taught to see everything on a continuum, and we're working with people, and we're not to be judgmental, so things are shades of gray. And it was just kind of a really interesting contrast because I got to be close friends with a lot of the cops, and we're able to get some distance from that and kind of joke about it now. But it's really one of the big things with law enforcement, and I'd imagine military when they come back in terms of their significant others and their marriages, just trying to figure that all out, the communication style. So thanks for sharing that. The other thing I was really drawn to is your 3 pillars, and I'm going to tell you something that's coming up. I don't want you to commit or anything because we could talk offline, but June is PTSD Awareness Month.
It is.
And Challenge America, which is the larger nonprofit that we're partnering with, that Amy Grant and Vince Gill started, created this Cav Arts community for us. Mm-hmm. And I'm trying to work with them to do a larger event sometime in June around PTSD. And we're not framing it that way. We're framing it as kind of resiliency.
As long as I get to meet Amy Grant, I'm in.
You know what? I said that about wanting to do the Guitars for Vets Learning Center, and I'm sorry, you'd have to jump the line. I still haven't met her yet.
It's like an hour from me.
It's funny you didn't say Vince Gill because he's like the guitar god,
My first music concert ever was Amy Grant, Michael W. Smith, and then a female that I don't remember I grew up on Christian music. But Amy Grant was the first, and I was in love with her as a kid. Like I just was like, she was amazing.
Me too. We had her, we played one of her songs, El Shaddai, at her wedding. I was a big Amy Grant. That's early Amy Grant. But anyways, your 3 pillars is a great framing for resiliency. And I just really love the idea of music and faith and what do you say, gardening. And I know so many vets that use nature as a way to kind of heal or as part of a pillar for their resiliency. So I
found a way to, I restructured it kind of where it's like, it's spiritual, creative, physical, because everybody's may be different, right? So for me, my 3 pillars specifically are faith, music, and gardening, right?
Gotcha. Okay.
Somebody else's may be like their spiritual may be different, their physical may be different, and their creative may be different, right?
Right.
So so what I do a lot of times is I'll sit veterans down, I'll sit their families down, or I will sit down like with my first responders or whatever, and we'll talk about like, spiritually, where do you connect? Creatively, what do you like to do? Like physically, what gets you out of bed every day? You know what I mean? What's the one thing if I came in, kicked
what's your why?
And said, yeah, exactly, right? So once we can figure out what those are, I help them learn how to combine them into groups so they have like something to do every single day. But yeah, it's amazing. Like it's just a phenomenal. Like I used to work with. I still do, but I'll go to police. Like their yearly seminars they have to take for their training and for their work,
right.
And I'll do intervention with veterans, like how to intervene with veterans, like body posture, like the way that you stand, where do you put your hands, like what do you
de-escalation?
Do? How do you come in already de-escalated, so that when the veteran sees you and they go, you know what I mean? So
yep. So anyways, in June, we haven't picked a date yet, but I'd love to talk to you offline about maybe you being a part of that. I would love somehow, if I can't get you there because there's a conflict or something, the whole idea of the Spartan Pledge is something I want to be a part of that. So
Okay.
I love that.
Yeah,
So thanks again. So questions. First song you ever wrote, and what was the name of it?
Magic Legs, and it was about Lieutenant Dan from the movie Forrest Gump. And the chorus was it was like the music would stop and the chorus would turn into a high school football cheer. Lieutenant Dan, he's our man. If he can't do it, no one can. Magic Legs, and then we'd go into the rest of the song. It was punk, so.
Do you read a lot? Like as part of your, I know you wrote your book, and we put the link in that, but I wanted to ask if there's any like books you recommend that you've read around dealing with trauma or healing.
So again, I'm an ordained minister. I do read a lot of Christian based books. But Facing Your Giants by Max Lucado is a really, really good one. I'm right now I'm really into the first two books by Jordan Peterson. They're just, when you can get past the first couple chapters of the first book and you get through the whole, like the way that, serotonin works on lobsters and all of that. And it gets into they're really, really beneficial for men, especially men dealing with trauma. If you can pull out the right nuggets, you know what I'm saying? And then, right. Wild at Heart was a good one by John Eldridge. That helped me deal with a lot of my childhood trauma, and understanding what masculinity really is and how it's supposed to be portrayed and used. And so, because you come back from combat and you have all this trauma you don't know what to do with, and then it gets misplaced. It's like, I honestly think I'm try to keep me from going on a tangent here. I think that's where we have screwed up, and we use the word like toxic masculinity, because the traits that we interject into masculinity due to our trauma or our upbringing don't make masculinity toxic. They make us toxic. Masculinity is what it is. That's my opinion. But that's where I think a lot of times where it gets exhibited through it looks and masks and seems similar to that. But so Wild at Heart is a good one. And I read a lot of fantasy stuff. Like I like to disconnect. You know what I mean? So when I got out of the Army, I ended up using my GI Bill. I went to college, and I was high school dropout, GED. I go to college. I get a bachelor's in psychology. I'm currently enrolled but on pause, working on a master's in social work.
Fantastic.
So I read. Man. I kept every one of my college psychology books from undergraduate. I didn't get rid of any of them. I go back to them and reference them and try to study from them and learn from them.
Abnormal Psychology was my favorite, but that's a whole different story.
Social and Abnormal were my two favorites.
So Ken just entered into the chat. Thanks for doing this. I'm in the same boat, and I came to G4V to help me with songwriting, so this has been extremely inspirational.
Awesome.
Hopefully I'll be able to put these songs I have in my head out into the world after I gain the skills from this amazing program. We are here for you, Ken. We also got programs like the Guitar Player's Toolkit. It's all about making music with your instrument. So Fantastic.
Yeah, I've been going through a lot of that stuff too. It's great. Everything that's online, there's so much there, and there's so many things that's helped push me forward. I'm in a place now. I'm week 2 now in my classes, awesome. And we're already putting that first song together.
You're in the Callus stage.
Yeah. Well, the Calluses are here. Actually, the first ones are coming off, and the second ones are coming up.
You're shedding. All right.
Yeah. So it's a lot of work, but it's fun. And it's been extremely inspirational coming on and listening to you tell your story and how you came to the program. It's similar to me. I've written a lot of lyrics, and I had the music in my head. I had no way of putting it out and getting it out. And, I'd go to people, hey, can you help me with this? Can you help me with that? And they're like, well, what chord progression are you wanting to use? And I have no idea. I just, I'm hearing this in my head. I don't know anything about that. And so I was like, well, maybe I need to learn more. And so I started looking online, and that's how I found the program. And I'm so thankful I did. And so thankful for all of you, for all you do. It's been a blessing.
Ken, you're in really good company because Paul McCartney would hear a melody in his head and he'd have to go figure out what chords fit the melody. So you're in really good company.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is like. I can hear it and I'm writing it, writing everything down, and I've got it all in my head. And it's like, all right, so now I go online and there's a chord progression app, and I start hitting, all the different ones until I find the one that, matches close enough to what I got going on. Yeah. Well, let me find it.
So yeah. Frank, we were talking about you were telling us about some books, and Frank said Tribe by Sebastian Junger is good as well.
Sebastian Junger is amazing. I got to meet him in Nashville a couple of years ago, 2015. I got to see it was 2015 or 2016. I got to see the release of The Hornet's Nest, which was like kind of like the follow-up to Restrepo. And he's just one of the most, he's been through what we've been through, but he did it without a weapon. You know what I mean? Like, he sat there in the dirt with us in Afghanistan and Iraq and just was going through all of it. And his books are amazing. They're great.
Tom, that's all I got.
Chord Progression Master.
All right.
On Android.
I'm going to put that on my note. Hold on.
Ken, I don't know, you've probably been told this, but if you do actually have a melody in your head and you can reproduce the notes you're hearing on your guitar, that first note is going to be a name of a note, like it might be a G or a B or a C. And then just try throwing that first chord over that to see if that kind of matches with it.
All right, I'll give that a try, because right now I'm just going through that chord progression app, and I just hit all the different chord progressions until I hear one that matches, because it'll play it out, and it's got different settings in there for the different types of flow and pitches and everything like that too, so you can get different sounds out of the chord. So it's really good. Helps me out a whole lot.
Okay, real good. Thanks, Paul. Hey, Malachias, I want to circle back to your book. I know we put this at the tail end, but maybe you can kind of talk a little bit about the book and what was it that inspired you to get that together, to publish it and to build really a lifestyle around what it is that you have in your book.
Yeah, so I was going through a medical retirement process from the military, the MEB, and it was not going well. Early on, it started off kind of bad, because I thought I was getting kicked out of the Army because I didn't have an EMT license anymore. And then I got accepted into a medical retirement board because I punched the glass door in front of our band building and it exploded. And they had to replace the glass. And then my commander, who was a really good guy, he had me get in his truck and drove me over to behavioral health, and they talked with me. And then the very next day was like, yeah, you're going into a med board. And so I was at that point, I was already taking like 100 milligrams of Seroquel every day, which is an antipsychotic. I was taking 40 milligrams of Celexa, 25 milligrams of Prozac. I was taking Ambien. I was just taking tons of medications. And I got to a point where my wife didn't like it. I didn't like it. I was putting on weight hand over fist, and I just couldn't take it off no matter what I did. I smelled like a walking bathroom because of the medications. And so we decided at that point, I went to my very last therapy meeting, and I was like, I come in every week, I pour my heart out, I tell you everything that I can't tell my family, because I don't want to see that look on their face when I tell them things I had to do in combat that I wasn't supposed to have to do, And I was like, I come in every week and tell you all this, and you don't say anything. All you do is type on your keyboard, see you next week. And my exact words were, what am I supposed to do? Help me. And she looked me square in the face for the first time in months and goes, I don't know, get a dog, start a garden. And I literally stood up, flipped my chair, I cussed her out, I went off, I lost my brain. I just went off the deep end, stormed out of the building, went home and told my wife that my therapist said get a dog. And she was like, no, you're not getting a dog. Which I have two, by the way. So now I've got dogs. But she was like, what else did your therapist say? And I'm like, no. She's like, what? Start a garden. And she was like, all right, get in the truck. So, we get in the vehicle, we drive to Lowe's, we bought dirt, seed, lumber, everything, came back. Living on post in military housing, went into my backyard, 8 o'clock at night. She's got 2 flashlights, and I'm building a 4-foot by 4-foot raised bed garden in my backyard. And so at that point, I had met this guy, Robbie Grayson, who is my publisher and one of my absolute best friends. But I met him through a mutual friend on Facebook, and he was just like, hey, I want to know more about your story. And so I told him, and he's like, hey, I want to bring a film crew from Nashville to Savannah, and I want to film you and these, because I was writing new music. And he goes, I want to film you writing this music and going into the studio and all that. And so we put in a request to do this documentary through the military, through PAO, the whole, everything the way we were supposed to do it, right? And a week out from them buying their plane tickets, getting on a plane and coming to see me to do it. It was scripted, everything was finished, right? They just needed to get on a plane and come film it. A week out, I get a phone call. I was at the band hall, and I get a phone call going, hey, Sergeant Gaskin, we need you to come up to Building 1, which is where the general works. And it's like, I don't want to go to Building 1. So I run to Building 1, and this full-bird colonel pulls me aside and goes, hey, dude, tell me about this. And he was like a hippie. He's like, dude, tell me about this documentary. And like, we're writing this music about trauma, about PTSD, and about being, a soldier and all that stuff like that. They want to film this thing about how I use it to kind of self-treat for trauma and all. He's like, that's amazing. I wish we could let you do it. Oh, I was like, wait, what?
They
maybe
did
you
it though.
Started with that.
They did it though, right? I thought I saw. Okay.
I ended up leaving.
Okay.
And I went over to, I got out in the vehicle and I called Robbie and I was like, hey, we got to cancel the documentary. Do not let them buy their plane tickets. I'll call you tomorrow. Right. So I called Robbie the next day and told him what happened. And he was just like, because I had to digest it. I had to let it, I had to get rid of the, I want to shoot somebody mentality at that point, because I was so mad. And so I called Robbie the next day and told him what happened. He's like, dude, you should just write a book. And I was like, what? He's like, you should literally just write a book about all the different things you're doing. Like all the stuff that you're doing for yourself, you should write it. Because if you write it, I'll publish it. And I was like, and I'm like, dude, I'm a high school dropout with a GED. Who the hell's going to read that? And he was just like, no, seriously, write the book. And so I was like, all right, fine, whatever. So I wrote I wrote it out of spite to show him that it wouldn't do anything. And now it's been sold in 7 countries. I've traveled to China to speak about suicide prevention. Like the Chinese government paid for me to come and speak about suicide prevention.
I've seen some of those presentations that you've done. There are a number of them too. Did you anticipate it would get the attention that it did?
I didn't think it was going to do anything. Honestly, I didn't. But it opened up the doors where I get to speak in front of other veterans and talk about my story and kind of let them, because a lot of times we feel isolated because we isolate ourselves, right? And so then we feel isolated, and then we're like, oh my God, someone else has the same experience as me. That's crazy.
Thank you for sharing that. We need to have you come back because there's more to that story, that book. It goes much deeper than this, but I don't want to forget about this last song that you've got planned for us. And I've got it written here somewhere. Well, let's see. It's No Dad of Mine. And I remember you sharing, the background on that song with me, and I found it to be quite moving. And I have to tell you, this is a later release, right? This is something that's just recently come out or getting ready to release. So this is, So what would you like to share with us about that song, No Dad of Mine?
Well, I wrote this while I was actually in the G4B program. Week 2, I had all my teeth pulled and had implants installed, and ended up with I have all new shiny perfect teeth, right? But as I'm sitting home 3 days after surgery, this song just jumped in my head, and so I had to go. I went in the other room. I had just gotten my interface in the mail. So I got everything plugged in, and I wrote the lyrics in like probably 15, 20 minutes. And then I just sat down and started strumming, trying to find the pattern I wanted and all that stuff. Like I always write backwards. I come up with the lyrics and I'm like, I don't know what I want it to sound like. I got to figure out a melody. And so I did that. I came up with it and I recorded it 3 days post-surgery wearing temporary dentures. And so I recorded it and sent it to my buddy Josh, who I wrote the song Grind and the song Freedom with. And he was like, I want to be a part of this one. And I was like, okay, I need a track for it because that's all I've got. I can't play drums. I can't play any. And so it sounds like I got a chief in it, you know what I mean, on the demo version. So Josh created a backing track with guitar, bass, drums, keys, all of it. And I'm going to the studio this coming Sunday on the 14th to put down the professional vocals, get them to him so he can master and mix it and finish it. and then it's a Christian country song. It is a true story. It's the first song that I've written this way, but I wrote it during the program. Is that I found out at 13 years old that I was adopted by my mother. My father was my father, but my mom had adopted me. And my dad was just like, when I told him I wanted to learn to play guitar at 12 years old, he looked at me and said, "No, son, mine's going to be the FAGGOT, right?" And I was just like, "Dad, whoa, dude, this is the 80s. We don't say that." Like, that's what we call dumb people. We don't say that like that, you know? And he was just like, no, it's not happening. And so at that point, like, nothing was ever good enough. Like, from 10 years old until he passed away, I wasn't his son anymore. I was an employee. And I had a permanent bruise from 11, about that big. I had a permanent bruise on my chest until I was 19 years old, where he would just poke me all the time. And he always hit the same spot every time, all the things. And so he was just he wasn't a good dude. And he was an alcoholic until I was about 8 years old. And then after he quit drinking, it became a work addiction. Like, he traded one addiction for the other. My birth mother, I finally met her at the age of 18, and I have absolutely zero use for her as a person, as a human, as a life on this planet. I have zero use for her. I wish her the best in her life, but she's not involved in anything anywhere I do because of who she is as a person. And I tried. I gave her multiple. I gave her more chances than I've probably given anybody in my life, in my entire history. And then, so that's the first 2/3 of the song. The last part of the song is about basically who I hope to be as a parent, because you know who they were and who I hope to be. So, and it's called No Doubt of Mine. Right. And I wrote this one with a capo.
All right, Malachias.
Because I was listening to what's that song by Aaron Lewis? I don't remember now, but yeah, he used a capo, and so I was like, I'm going to use a capo. So,
all right, sir. All right.
No doubt of mine.
No doubt of mine.
My father told me, never give up, son. Give it all you got. Take your shot and run. Life won't be easy if you wanna be the one. Keep your head down and keep on running for that finish line. But that was just a dream. That was no dad of mine. Nothing that I did was good enough, and it wouldn't make the time. I did the best that I could, and he made it feel like a crime. My mama told me I was a favorite son. I could do no wrong. Life was full of fun. The girls will be lining up, and you'll be the one. Keep your head down and keep on running for that finish line. But that was just a dream. That was no mama mine. Nothing that I did was good enough, and she wouldn't make the time. I did the best that I could, and she made it feel like a crime.
That's where the solo goes. But I can't play solo.
I told my children, never give up. You only get one chance at life, so give it all you got. I'll be here if you fall to dust you off. Get a steady stance and take aim and give it your best shot.
And I dreamt that my kids would say, I love that dad of mine. Everything we did was good enough, and he always made the time. We did the best that we could, and he made it feel alright. But the truth of the story is, I'm not the perfect dad. I did the best that I could to give them all I had.
Malachias Gaskin, everyone, U.S. Army veteran, singer, songwriter, and so much more. What incredible stories. Thank you so much for sharing them with us and with the community, and your songs as well, too. Can you tell us where we can find your music?
You can find it on Facebook at Malachias Music. You can find it on Spotify, iTunes, iHeartRadio, like all the streaming apps. Malachias, Malachis. And you can buy it directly. You can buy the MP3s directly from my website, which is malachiasmusic.com.
Any projects in the wings that we should know about, or anything that you want to share?
So that song is coming out soon, like probably June-ish. I just did, so I can't really talk a whole lot about it, but I just did an audition for a heavy metal rock band out of Houston, Texas, that if I get it, will put me on tour.
Here you go, going back to your wheelhouse again.
Yeah, right. So, and I would be a front man. I wouldn't be a guitar player for that project. So I'm really excited about it. I'm really kind of hoping I get it. If not, whoever gets it, like, I just hope it's the right person for the job is all. You know what I mean? Because the band has a mission that they do, and it's really important. And then I do have another song coming out later this year. It's a Christian metal song called "Not My Father's Son." And I mean, other than that, like, I'm plugging away, like, booking writers' nights, trying to book shows, stuff like that. So, and everything I try to do, like, most of my music, it's all, veteran focused. Like that last song, Ken, thank you for that, by the way. I read what you said. I honestly, that was my first stab since the military about writing a song that wasn't military focused. And that seems to be getting the biggest response from everybody. In fact, my son, who like idolized and worshiped my dad, like just loved him to pieces when he heard it. I was really concerned, like when he heard it, it would affect him in some way, but he was like, "Dad, that was amazing." It's one of my favorite ones right now, like that I play. But yeah, this year's I'm just kind of taking it as it goes. I'm putting in a lot of effort, like taking time every night. I work nights now, but I have every couple of days, I have a couple of days off. And so I go out in the garage when my family's sleeping and just kind of strum away. Just keeping my fingers moving.
What you got to do.
What I mean? Keep the creative juices flowing.
Yeah. Well, thank you. Thanks again for sharing your stories. And Paul, is there anything you want to close with here before I send everyone on their merry way?
I just got that melody in my head, which is where I want to keep it. So
all right.
Just appreciate what you're doing for us, and thank the rest of the community for giving up whatever time it is in your time zone. We appreciate you hanging with us.
Thank you.
And one last thing before I cut everyone loose, and that is our next episode of Songs Sung True, A Veteran's View, is Thursday, April 25th, 7:30 p.m. Central. It is a show that's featuring U.S. Navy veteran Shannon Book, and that's in a couple of weeks. Yeah.
Fellow medic.
For Guitars for Vets and for the Challenge American Veteran Arts community, I'm Tom Lamog. We will see you next time. Thank you and good night, everyone.